Welcome to another episode of Behind the Now. Today, I get to chat with actor, executive coach, and consultant Joe Sabatino. With over 25 years of performance experience as an actor, comedian, TV writer, and producer, Joe founded Behind the Talk. As CEO, Joe shares his methodologies with high-level executives and CEOs in the tech space to help them master their communication, public speaking engagements, and overall influence and brand. Hey, Joe, thank you so much for talking with me today. I'm so excited to learn more about you and all the amazing work you're doing. So thanks for joining me.
Wow, it's my pleasure. I'm so excited to learn about you. So we're going to have some fun here today. I'm really looking forward to this.
Awesome. So first, walk me through your pathway so far. So you have an amazing company called Behind the Talk, but what led to that before? I know you have a diverse, very creative background as a comic, producer, writer. So yeah, walk me through their pathway so far.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Really interesting. Yeah, I stumbled into Behind the Talk on accident. There was one day I was, going back about 10, 12 years ago, I was doing a show in LA. And when I finished doing the show, I was followed out to the parking lot by a guy. Mm-hmm. And it's like, this is kind of weird. And I'll never forget, my car was parked under a street light. And he says to me, "Hey, you." And I'm like, in my head, you know, the New Yorker kicks in 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. I'm like, "Hey, you, what is this?" And you know how, when you do a show, they read about you and everything.
Yeah. So what? Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So this.
What type of show was it?
I was doing a little comedy show.
Oh, awesome! Actually, that's totally what I imagined. But okay, go on.
So he follows me out and he says, "My wife and I really liked your show and I want to do what you do." And I said, oh, you want to be a comic? And he said, no. What I want to do is I own a technology company and I'm a CEO. Mm-hmm. And my wife and I have been interviewing coaches for public speaking. And I just haven't seemed to connect. And my wife said, you got to get someone that makes a living doing this. So, and we looked you up and, I guess you do comedy, but you're really an actor, right? And I said, yeah. And we looked all your credits up and we said, hey, why don't we talk to this guy? Maybe he can, work with us. And at the time I was coaching actors on, whenever they would have an audition. So I said, okay. But so he said, I'd really like to work with you. And I said, yeah, well, I'm an actor, I'm a writer, going on. And he says, I'll pay you. And I went, you're going to pay me to teach you what I did up there. And he said, yeah, I'm going to pay you because I'm just a terrible public speaker. And notice when you started talking, you had the audience right with you. So I said, yeah. Oh, interesting. So then I thought about it and I didn't know if I could teach him because you're an actress and there's performance skills. You have to be uninhibited. It's where's your mind at, right? To really, dial into this. So I said, you know what? Let's do this. I'm not going to charge you. I'll teach you the performance skills I know from, being an actor and doing some comedy. Mm-hmm. And by no means was I any kind of big time stand-up. I just would play around with it. But I guess it kind of struck this gentleman. And he said, okay, cool. And I said, so I won't charge you, but you got to do me one favor. And he said, okay, what's that? And I said, I'm not going to charge you. So you're a CEO. When someone comes up to you and they want business, I'm sure you charge them, right? And he says, of course. I said, do me a favor. Because of what I'm doing here, just pay it forward and surprise that next person and say, don't worry.
Oh, wow.
And
That's
I'll never
awesome.
forget, he was a big guy and he had like big forearms. And he put out his hand and I just saw this big hairy forearm. And he took out his hand and I shook his hand. He says, "You got a deal." Well, 8-10 months later, he wanted to learn how to be just an engaging, dynamic public speaker. So 8-10 months later, he was presenting at there's a very big in technology, you have what's called the Black Hat and DEF CON convention. And he was presenting at the DEF CON convention in front of 11,000 people. And he just was, yeah. So, and that's what
Did
it
you
started.
say he crushed it?
He totally crushed it. And
yeah. Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So it was that one gentleman who I'm still dear friends with today. He built my entire business because then people saw,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, people saw how he was speaking and they said, "Wait a minute, who are you? What's going on?" And he says, "Well, I have a coach." And then
they said, isn't that amazing?
Right?
Cool.
Who's your coach? And he gave them my name and number and they called me, but he didn't tell me. And I was like, "Nah, that's just, what I do. But I'm really not, that's not really." And then he calls me back and he goes, "Are you kidding me? You're going to call them back and you're going to do business with them. And this is how much you're going to charge." And I did. And the rest is history.
Gosh, that is amazing.
Yeah.
That really that found you,
Yeah.
And it also, there is such a demand. And I mean, it's a real, it's like a real skill set, you know what I mean? And it's a real lack in a lot of industries because because everything you need to be able to speak, like every meeting, every pitch, every presentation. And then there's like bigger, right? Like what you were helping him with for a conference.
Sure.
Yeah.
Jen, you know what the funny thing is, especially in technology, but it's prevalent in all industries. When you go to these big conferences, you always hear this one statement, and I think anyone that's listening will agree with this. You'll hear, "The conference was great, but the speakers, not so much." And I always say, do you want to be in the not so much group, or do you just want to kill it when you're on stage, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. Yes, it's so true. Because like the other thing is like you can be a complete genius, which many of these people are, and know absolutely everything about their product and everything. But if you can't get that across and market it and explain it properly, then it sucks. You need to bridge that gap.
100%. Today in corporate America, I find it really entertaining because when the executive gets through the presentation, the mere fact that they didn't have a heart attack and they made it through, they think they did great. And I go, "Oh my gosh, no." So
the standards are so much lower.
Oh yeah. It's, and they're so, as a performer, as you know, we're so aware of what's happening right here. Right. My friends joke around and they always go, "This is the money machine. This is the money machine." But we're so self-aware. So as actors, we know, even when we're on this Zoom call, we know the camera frame breaks down into thirds. We have the upper third, the middle third, the lower third. So how do you use those thirds to be more animated when you speak, to be more excited when you speak, to connect with the audience? But in corporate America, this is all lost. They'll just get on. It's so funny. When COVID hit, we heard this.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Remember this? We're in the new normal. We're in the new normal. Everything's the new normal. And it would blow me away because I'd always say, we're in this new normal, but no one's doing anything new.
Yeah, like adjusting, right? Because you need new. Yeah, exactly.
100%. Because I look at it where, for instance, like you and I, if we were to meet in person, and I say this to every executive, if we were to meet in person, I will guarantee you're going to do 3 things when you meet me. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at me right in the eye. And they always go, yeah, of course I'm going to look at you in the eye. Of course, that's what I would do. And I go, why would you look me in the eye? Well, because that shows that you can trust me. And when you look me back in the eye, I can trust you. And, the eyes are the windows to the soul. Yeah, of course. So we know that when we meet in person, we're going to look eyeball to eyeball. The next thing that you as the executive, you're probably going to meet me and you're going to smile. And then
exactly. You don't think about this stuff, right? It's natural in person. Exactly. Yeah.
And I say, and they would always say, yeah, of course I'm going to smile. Well, here's why you're going to smile, because we know human behavior, neuroscience, and we just have this internal knowing that when you have someone that smiles, and then they smile and you're smiling.
Yes.
We want to hang out because we know factually that people want to be with people who are positive.
Right. And that's ingrained in us. It's like babies, like newborn babies. The first thing they understand is a smile. They understand facial expressions. And then that's across all cultures,
Exactly.
There's been lots of studies about that. They don't understand, they don't know how to speak or anything yet, but they respond to exactly what you're saying. 100%. So that's ingrained in us, right?
100%. Okay. So now we know we've got eye contact, we've got smiling. And the third thing is, and this is definitely, pre-COVID, if you meet someone in person, what would you do? You'd probably put out your hand, give them that firm handshake. But wait a minute, we're on camera. I can't reach me. I can't do it. So now you say, aha, Joe, you can't do that when you're on camera. Yes, you can. And how we do it as performers, and Jen, you'll know this as well, is like we said, the camera breaks down in thirds. You have the upper third, you have the middle third, you have the lower third. So we as actors, when we're working, we know this. So when we're talking and we want to paint pictures with our words, like I'm doing right now, I use the lower third of the camera to kind of accent what I'm talking about. Then when I really want to let something lay on my audience, I'll say something like, and then we have to think about what it is. And then I'm kind of pausing, and they're like, okay, that's going to digest, and I'm going to understand, and this is important. So now, when putting those all together, when we're on camera, people in corporate America don't realize that, like, we're talking right now. And I'm sure you see me making direct eye contact with you because as a performer, I'm trained to look at the camera, not the monitor. Because if I'm looking at the monitor, I'm not even connecting. That's number one. Number two, I'm also trained that my default position is this. Because then it's, hey, he's a positive guy. He's got positive energy. And the third one is I want to animate my conversation. So I'm using that lower third. I'll break that lower third when I want something to really land. Because at the end of the day, if everything we say is important, nothing is important. Think about it. If everything we say is important, nothing is important. Because if I'm saying to you, Jen, this is this, and this is that, and this is this, and my whole is like this, oh my gosh, what am I really taking in?
Yes. It's like life. Everything is relative, like you have good days, bad days, you have ups, downs. So like it's the same. That's so interesting though, to like take that paradigm, like all these natural things that we all know, and put it like explain it to someone that way for like a presentation or a speech on camera or anything, and you're totally also like, just like from doing self tapes, which was always a thing, but with COVID, it's like all self tapes.
Oh, right.
You know that like the tiniest, like leaning forward or like things that feel like nothing to you are huge on tape,
Oh my gosh.
And sometimes you don't realize it. At least I don't know. Like I'll seem like, oh shit, like I didn't, and then you do realize it though, and you can use it, right? Like if this is what's happening this moment, like on camera, you just do this and it's like a huge thing. Like when the framing's so tight, a tiny thing is massive.
It was interesting. I was doing a movie, Vice. It was directed by Adam McKay. and I'm working opposite Christian Bale. So we're doing our thing and everything like that. And so we get the shot, and Adam comes over to us, and it's a scene where Christian and myself are like, doing our thing. And, he says, hey, listen, guys, we got that. We got that. So just play and Joe really go after Christian. And Christian, Joe will come at you hard. You do your thing too. And I'm just loving it because, gosh darn, Christian Bale, man. Yeah, I'm working out with him. I mean, does it get any better, right? As a performer? And we do this thing, and I have this pipe in my hand, and I'm like, so I drag the pipe along the ground really slowly, and I come up to him, and I really, make my eyes like really droopy, and I go, and he's playing Dick Cheney, and I'm going, Cheney, you think you're a tough guy, huh? And he's like looking at me, and I'm feeling, what he's doing, and then I just, I pick it up and I go. And I put it right by his forehead. I pick it up, I put it right by his forehead. You get on the line. Yeah. It's your head. And then Christian was, just his reaction. I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah. So kind of really.
And also just to, there was a part that maybe cut out, but I know what you said, but the director came to you and he said, we got that, right? So now do it again. And however, just right. like we have it, basically telling you mentally we have what it should be, right? Yes. And so now just go have fun. And then in that take that you did, right, like that you just explained, that came from in the moment, right? You didn't plan that.
Exactly. Here's what the director did. Here's exactly what the director did. Adam empowered. Not Christian's got all. I mean, Christian Bale. Come on, he's got all the confidence in the world. So here I am, a working actor, working opposite, this star. He empowered me with so much confidence. Basically, what he said to me, the subconscious in my brain is like, "Hey, man, we got it. Do whatever you want because you're killing it here. You go for it." Yeah. And he empowered me by just saying, "We got it. Just play with it and have fun." So
right, and that's brilliant as a director.
Right, it's that mentality. So now, if when coaching, when the executive knows, hey, this is what I need to do to show very well. Once they know that, now they're empowered to be more of themselves, to be that authentic self.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Once you hit that, that's when you connect with your audience because they can see you.
Yes, amazing.
Now you're presenting differently from every other corporate executive out there.
And when you were, that's awesome. And then what you were saying earlier, your role actually very much is like a director. It sounds like imagine you're working with someone who's doing a live talk or presentation or speech. And you even work on the physicality with them, where
100%.
The blocking, right? Where would it have a big impact to be here? Right. Okay.
Right. For those that don't know the word blocking, it's, we just say that in Hollywood, and that's the stage movement that the actors will do as they're, going through their scenes. So that's the show business vernacular.
Yeah. Yeah. And also reminds me of a story. I was listening to a podcast. I want to say it was Joseph Gordon-Levitt. The episode.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I remember, and this sounds so similar to what you just said. So, the director had told him he was very young. I think he was a child, he was a child actor. So I think in the story, he was a young actor. And the director had told him just make sure you're not hitting your mark. All of our lighting is set up. You have to hit that mark. You have to hit that mark. And then, so he's like, okay, hit the mark. And then another actor came to him and said, I never hit any of my marks. And it just I've never hit a mark. So, but it's the same thing as what you're saying. So mentally, he's like, you can't be looking for your mark,
Right,
you know?
right.
Especially because he was a child. And the actor that said that is a very well-known actor. I'm just not sure. Just like blanking on who actually was in the story.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
You know, what's really hysterical is I've done a lot of soap opera work. I started in doing soap.
Cool.
Recurring character on, back 100 years ago, because I'm a dinosaur. I was a recurring character on Ryan's Hope in New York. And then I came out to California, became a recurring guest star on General Hospital, recurring guest star on The Young and the Restless. And I was on both shows.
So awesome.
The Young and the Restless, where I played, the only cop that they had in town. And then on General Hospital, I was the only gangster that they had in town. And I'm doing it at the same time. But when you're doing soap opera work, everybody would go, soap operas. But I got to tell you, working on a soap is tough because you're shooting like 40 pages a day and you got to hit all these marks and, it's 3 camera and you got to memorize really quick and everything like that. So when you said blocking, I went, oh boy, yeah.
Right. I've heard that too. So they're very, very fast paced soap operas. And it's like, it's like a boot camp.
I respect them. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Big time respect.
It's amazing.
All the soap opera actors out there, big time respect.
Yeah. I've definitely heard that too. Okay. So something that this is just like an interesting paradigm that we brought up. So there's you have to, I'm sure you work with your clients and they're really connecting with people, right? Like those simple things like eye contact. And then when you're truly connected with someone, that takes you out of your head, right? You're free, right? Because you're not but then 100%. On the other end, you spoke about having a self-awareness, right? Because you need that too. So that's interesting. How do you, I don't know. How do you talk more about a bit about that?
How do you develop
because I know what you mean exactly. You can be completely connected and everything, but still you have you're still aware, you still have an awareness of certain things. But do you find that that's, I don't know, maybe this isn't such a big point, but do you find that that's something, to help?
Jenna, you're asking a great question. This is when it comes to performing, when it comes to presenting on stage as a corporate executive, when it comes to presenting on a digital conference call, this question that you asked is pivotal to how you connect, what's your energy on stage. And when I say this one word, and we learn this from all the actors that went before us, going back going back millennia, that the biggest thing that an actor can do, and I'm holding this because if you watch an actor, isn't it amazing how an actor can come into the scene and boom, they're right there. It doesn't take them, a minute, 30 seconds to catch up to what they're doing. And then they go, in their head, okay, I'm settled. I'm going to do my presentation. Why is it that the actor...
Oh, that's interesting.
Stay with me on this. Why is it that the actor, hits the mark, when they, light, speeding sound, lights, camera, action, boom, the actor is there. And this is a lesson that we can take from every actor. If anyone out here is doing public speaking and for your company, is the actor, for them, it's all about intention. So for instance,
I was going to say that.
Yeah. So, if I'm playing a mob guy in a show, my intention is completely different than if I'm playing the colonel, colonel in the army. The way I'm coming into the scene, the way I'm thinking about myself, the way I'm holding myself is completely different. So as actors, we are masters of executive presence, because executive presence is really understanding for the corporate executive who they are, what they're about. They understand their personal brand. Now, the actor, we look at that as character thoughts. What's my character? Who am I? okay, I'm this gangster. Maybe I came from a dysfunctional home,
Right.
a violent guy. So at the drop of the hat, when someone says something to me, bang, I'm punching them in the face or whatever I'm doing.
Yeah.
But so really to define this, if the executive can really understand what is their intention and ask this question, what do they want the audience to see and feel from them? If they understand that before they walk on stage or before getting on a Zoom call, now they know, okay, here's my persona. Okay. I want to show confidently that I'm having fun and everything like this. I want the audience to see that I'm confident, I'm having fun, and really enjoying where I'm at. Wow, that makes everything a lot easier, knowing that intention before we walk on stage. Because here's the thing, as a television producer, people will remember. They won't necessarily remember what you said. They're going to remember key bits of it. But you know what they're really going to remember? They're going to remember how you made them feel. Boom, you got it. Because you're a performer. You understand this. And that's why you know how to use that $1 million smile that you have. There's these two personas that we have in our body. And I got this from Sylvester Stallone because I worked on Rocky V with him. But so he had this thing where he does this scene in the basement talking about fighting, and he goes, there's this Frankie Fear. You can't let him take over, Frankie. So he's talking about Frankie Fear. And if you're a fighter and you go in the ring and you're like nervous, oh my gosh, I'm going to get hit. You can't function. So I thought about that and I said, wow, that's brilliant. Frankie Fear. And I said, as presenters and as performers, we really have two personas that dwell inside of us. We have Frankie Fear, and Frankie Fear is the one that's like, are they going to like me? Oh gosh, my shirt, I feel heavy today. The shirt's a little tight.
All right.
I don't know. My hair, I'm not having a good hair day. But my material, maybe I should change that opening line. All of this stuff. And then we have the other persona, which is Frankie Fearless. And Frankie Fearless is this guy.
Yeah.
How you doing? Let me put my cigarette out. So, what are we going to do here today? Boom. So the question then is, we have these two personas. We've got just really insecure and super confident. Now, we can't jump, we can't be one or the other. We got to blend these characters. Because when we're performing, we have to, everybody says, well, I don't want to be nervous. I don't want to be nervous. Well, I've asked every actor, here's such a funny thing. This is hysterical. I go on these group company calls and I go, how many people get nervous before presenting? And I can have 25 people on the call, 30 people. And maybe one or two hands come up, And I go, that's it. Only two people get nervous before they speak. And, and it's dead silent. Maybe someone's like, yeah. And growing up, I was always, I hated doing oral reports in school. I always got sick the day I had to do an oral report. I can remember in grammar school and middle school, my legs shake, even in high school, as crazy as it may sound, my legs shaking walking up to the front of the room. I'd get up to the front of the room. I'd look at the class. I'd forget what I had to say. I had a little bit of a stuttering problem. And when you get nervous, that stuttering
it goes worse. Right. Everything's mental.
Yeah, it's all mental. So I would ask these executives, I said, who gets nervous? And no one would really raise their hand. And because this was such a deep-seated issue for me, whenever I would act, and it's a whole nother story how I overcame that, but whenever I would act, I would always ask the actors that I play opposite, hey, I notice when we're rehearsing, you're all over the place, but how do you just lock it in, man? And you're rock solid. And a lot of them, would tell me, it's about breath work and all of this stuff. And, I have this mantra that I do in my head and everything like that. And it's preparation, preparation, preparation. And I go, I get it. So then I tell that story, and then I come back to the people, and I say, okay, so here's the question I want to know. I've got 35 people on this call. Only 2 people get nervous before they present. Tell me, what is your secret that you don't get nervous so that I can go back to Hollywood and say, guys, I figured it out. Here's how you don't get nervous. So then they all laugh. And then I go, so let me ask that question again. How many people get nervous or uptight or apprehensive before you're about to present? 35 hands go up.
Yeah, they're even nervous to say they're nervous.
So they're insecure to show they're insecure to show their insecurity. Okay?
Interesting.
So, like every actor is like, shit, man, I get nervous. But we as actors, we don't really look at it as nerves. We look at it as adrenaline. And if I'm going to go on stage, or
interesting.
Yeah, or I'm going to go on a Zoom call, or I'm going to go, I'll tell you, working opposite Arnold Schwarzenegger in Batman and Robin. I'm a seasoned actor. I've got, over 100, television and film credits, over 200 television and film credits. And, I know my first scene in the movie is with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I get the knock on the trailer door. Joe, you ready? Yep, let's do this. And I'll tell you what, I'm self-coaching myself while I'm walking from my trailer into the soundstage. I'm coaching myself. Hey, this is what you do, dude. You're ready to go for this. You're prepared. So much fun. You can't wait to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger. We're going to crush this. This is our scene. Yeah, I'm doing all of that stuff. Sylvester Stallone, same thing. I'm into a boxing ring with Sly and Tommy Morrison in Rocky V. Yeah, it's like, okay, dig in, brother. And I wouldn't be true to myself. The big thing that we as actors is, be true to thyself. And because only anything can come from that, Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And also,
So when you speak about, how is it? It's intention. What is that intention? How do you feel going on? You lock that in, you just solved 90% of your concerns going on stage.
And I was about to go on stage for something, and I just my heart was pounding so hard. Absolutely. And it's like, I had this moment of I don't need to, I was like, okay, that's what's happening. That's what's happening.
Right.
And it's just it's amazing how heightened your senses are. It's hard to explain, but because I made that decision, I was I'm okay, I'm aware of that. I'm having this awareness. All right, now what am I doing? It's fine. Just that's fine. So accepting. That's what it is.
But
sometimes it's easier to accept it than go. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're blowing my mind. How beautiful is it? Right. When you're going to go on stage, it's like this heightened sense of awareness.
I know.
You know, the hair on your arms is standing up. You can feel every breath. You're so consciously aware. Right. And you want to eat something? You're alive now. You're living your full expression of being human, being creative, being creative. Oh my gosh. And how wonderful is it that you, Jenna, get to experience that?
Yes. And that's one of the things I love about acting. It's it just feels like one of the most human, living as a human to the fullest,
Sure. Right. So the key is, and this is what I love about what you said. So then the key is for every executive out there to really, we get them to internalize that, because once they get there, now what they're doing is, which they all go, I get this, but they're building their personal brand. So now when they're on speaking for their company, and they're speaking to 2,500 people. Now they have 2,500 people in the audience that are competitors, that are peers, and now they're communicating like a total pro. It helps them out a lot where people go, hey, I love what you did. Here's my card. If you're not happy there, give me a call.
Right. It's amazing.
It was funny. It was funny. Warren Buffett said this. I was watching. He was interviewed at Indiana University, and he was talking, and they were asking him all these questions. You know, what was your biggest investment? What was this? What was that? And this one woman got up and said, Mr. Buffett, what is the one thing that every executive should possess? I know that's a difficult question because there's so many things. And he goes, no, actually, that's kind of the easiest one. And everybody held their breath and they're like, well, what is it? So he paused and he said, public speaking. But here's why. Because if you're a good or great public speaker, this will be an asset that will be with you for your entire business career, and you will be seen as a leader. But on the flip side of that, if you're not a good public speaker, this will be a liability that will hold you back for your entire business career. And he said, he said to everybody, he says, I have one degree on my wall in my office, and it's my degree from the Dale Carnegie School of Public Speaking.
Oh, amazing! That's
how important it is.
Yeah.
So then the next guy gets up and says, "What was your biggest investment? What was your biggest, most valuable investment? What was it? What was it?" And he said, "My investment in myself." Kind of cool.
Both brilliant.
And he's done
brilliant
himself,
answers.
so.
Yes, that book too. If anyone hasn't read that, by Dale Carnegie.
Yes.
Give me, are you recalling the title?
One of them. But whether it's Dale Carnegie, Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, Ed Milet, all of them. We're really all saying the same thing. We're packaging it differently, but it really is. It's all about getting in touch with yourself. And at the end of the day, you're enough.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just, you're there. You're there because you deserve to be there. And that's it. And we have, one of the things that I always, and I even, coach a lot of my clients, is there comes a point where, as actors, and I see this from a producing standpoint, the actor comes in. I know a lot of actors, and, when I had my show, Necessary Roughness, actors would come in and audition. And they'd come in like this, and you know exactly what I'm going to talk about. They walk in the room and they go like this. They go, "Hi, Joe. How are you? I'm really, I'm excited. Thank you so much for bringing me in. Thank you. And I sit there and I go, dude, we've known each other for 20 years. It's Joe. I'm still the same guy you see at Gold's Gym. I mean, no big deal." And I remember one day I had an actress friend of mine came in, and she was just a killer. I knew she was great. And it was a guest starring role. And she came in and she did it. And this woman is, I dream to be as good an actor as she is. She came in and she just was a little tight. And the casting director writes on her, you have the picture, the casting director makes a note on her picture. And I saw it and I'm like, I'm not digging that. So the actress goes out and the casting director goes, "Actors, they have to prepare. They have to prepare." And now, she's talking about my brethren. I'm an actor. That's who I am. I was just, fortunate to sell a show. And I said, every actor that walks in here, whether we think they do a great performance or whether we think that, they do a poor performance, in our opinion, I'll tell you what, every actor has rehearsed this scene in the shower 500 times. They've said it in their living room 5,000 times. They said it driving from Santa Monica to Universal Studios. They've gone on that audition, 2,000 times. They got this. But this is what you don't understand, Mrs. Casting Director. When we as actors love love what we do. And it's every cell in our body that's invested in this one audition. We get one time to impress all of us. So it wasn't that they weren't prepared or whatnot. It's just we want it so bad that sometimes the situation becomes a little too big for us. And then I said, on that note, don't bring anyone in. Just stop the session for a second. Got up, ran to the elevator, and I saw my friend and I go, wait, hold up. And she turns around, and it was a guest lead on the show. She turns around and she's like, Joe, I'm so sorry. And I was like, oh man, no.
Yeah.
And I gave her a big hug, and I, pushed back. I said, I'm going to tell you something. I know you. I only wish I could be as talented as you. So you know what you're going to do right now? You're going to come back in. I know you got this down. And you are just going to kill it in that room. And I said to her, and I know this is an adult audience, but I said to her, when you come in that room, in your head, I want you to say, fuck everybody in this room.
Right.
I'm here and I'm going to show off. I said, you say that in your head and you go in there and you crush it. So I want you to come back, let 3 or 4 actors go in, and I'll let 3 or 4 actors go in. You'll be the 5th actor, and you come back in. Okay. She says, yeah, you think? I said, yeah, it's my show. Yeah, that's what you're doing. So she goes, she collects herself, and I come back in the session, and I tell tell my partners, I said, okay, let's do this. I want to bring that woman in again. And the casting director looks at me, and I'm like, and I look at her and I go, yeah, I'm bringing her in. Okay. So she comes in, and I see her. She gets in front, right? We're all sitting, in our chairs there. I see her take a beat, and I know she's going like this. Fuck everybody in this room.
Yeah.
So she goes, and it was a scene where she had to cry. It really played where that actress could cry on this line. It would be awesome. And she didn't do it. She came in, started doing it, and I'm watching her, and I could see it. I could see it welling up in her eyes. I could see her body and everything like that. And, as we're doing it, she's far, and we're watching. And that line comes, bang, she's crying and doing her thing. And we're all so just taken. She finishes, and she wipes her eyes, and she goes, thank you very much. And the casting director said to her, that was amazing what you just did. And she goes, thank you. She walks out, and my buddy, my producing partner is a dear friend of mine. He turns to me and he goes, dude, I didn't know she had it in her. And I said, I did. She's a killer. That role came down to her and a major celebrity.
Oh my gosh.
Network went with the major celebrity, but she was pitted against a major celebrity. And I just couldn't be more proud of her. So, so we're all human. And, people say, oh, you're an actor. This is easy. You know what? We're all human. We all get nervous. If I let my mind go, I could say, oh, wow, I'm doing this podcast with Jenna. Man, I hope I come off good. I hope. You know what? At the end of the day, so what? We just do what we can do. And whatever happens, happens. But we have to have the intellect to be free to really understand that.
Yeah. Yes, that's so powerful. And I love that story too.
Yeah.
Because it shows you
she still reminds me of that
this, but right. Yeah, that's amazing.
Come on, you've gone on auditions, and sometimes I'm sure you walked out and you go, I didn't do what I really wanted to do.
I know, yeah.
And I look at it this way, whether I get a part or not, I just look at it. If I went in there and was free enough to do exactly how I performed it, how I prepared it.
Yeah.
What else can I do? It's just,
Yeah, exactly. Because there's so many, there's tons of factors that are out of your control. So the ones you focus on what's in your control,
Exactly.
And the other thing I have an awareness of is like, when like you are like have an audition or like anything where you're like have any nerves at all, and it's like the second it's over, you could feel different, and it's like this thing of like you want that feeling of it's over before you do it, right?
Exactly.
So it's like, and if there's like a difference there, then you realize you weren't there when you were starting, like going in.
Right.
Because like ideally there shouldn't be kind of any type of like difference. Like if you're truly relaxed and you're, So
at the end of the day, it's almost like I had a casting director say this to me one time. She goes, Joe, you're a funny actor. I go, well, why am I a funny actor? Because you could be talking to me, and then when you start your scene, I don't even realize you started the scene because it's just
which is
So, but it's just because of the years and years of conditioning,
right?
Where it's almost like you settle into, who you are and what their persona is. I mean, obviously, if you're doing a scene where you're playing an accent, then that's different. But I've had casting directors where I've started and they're like, you started already. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can we do that again? Like,
yeah.
So
that's awesome.
It's really about settling in, because at the end of the day, when you think about it, if we're nervous or we're excited,
the brain doesn't know the difference.
And our body is really acting the same way. If I'm nervous,
physiologically.
Yeah, exactly. Physiologically. Because if I'm nervous or I'm excited, well, I probably have a little shortness of breath. I'm aware of what's going on. I'm really jacked up and can't wait to go. So whether it's adrenaline, nerves, our body doesn't know. And that's why the coaching really comes in, and the self-coaching, like I said, walking to the set to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sly Stallone. It's okay. It's mindset. Put yourself in the right mindset, because then when you go in, like you said with Jimmy Kahn, it's moment to moment. Just be there in the moment and actually take that breath to just relax, down regulate, power down. I teach a lot of breath work where I do this thing. I've studied martial arts for 100 years. You can see by the gray hair, but I show actors and executives how you can take, and I do this, I take their pulse. They take their pulse. I put them through a breathing exercise. And let's say if they're, 90 beats per minute, I'll do one exercise, and within 6 minutes, they'll drop their pulse anywhere between 20 and 30 beats per minute.
Oh my God.
So, here's the ideology behind it. So if you can do that in 6 minutes, how about I say to you, work on it. You could probably do it in 3 minutes. How about if I say to you, work on it some more, you could do it in 1 minute. How about if I say to you, perfect it some more, you can do it in 15 seconds. And how about if I said to you, really work on it and master it, where you can do that in one breath. And if you can do that in one breath, and you can, if you're up here and you're, okay, I'm going to do this and do this. And the moment you can just take that breath, and then just really just let it go. You're ready to go, man. Ready to go.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. And like at the end of the day, right. And at the end of the day, ultimately, we want to be living our lives like that, like moment to moment,
Right.
Like imagine if you're consistently like that. Then it's like, doesn't matter. You have this, you have that, you have this, you have that. You're just prepared for all of it.
Jenna,
because
100%.
You're so used to it.
Could you imagine? Can you imagine living your life where not only can you do that in person, where you're in business and they say, next up on the stage is CEO and founder of the ABC company. You could take one breath, totally relax, boom, and you're knocking out. And then when you get home and your kids are going crazy, you can take one breath. I would say the majority of people, meditation is great. And that's what the breath work is. It's meditation. But people don't really know how to concentrate. Like when you're in school, they said, concentrate on what you're doing. But do you really know how to concentrate? I'm going to break it down really simply. So when we concentrate, we're focusing on one thing. So if we're going to meditate, when I first started doing this, and this was my journey from just really locking in, here's a guy that hated going up in front of the class, and he's an actor. As crazy as it may seem, I just did a film in the Spain, I guess Oscars or whatever. I was just nominated for Best Supporting Actor in this film. So it was kind of cool.
Oh my God, congrats.
Yeah. But people, they just don't know how to concentrate. And everybody's saying, oh, meditate. But how do you do it? Because I was the guy, I would go into yoga because I love doing yoga. And they would say, okay, we're gonna breathe and center ourselves. And you know how you close your eyes? And I'd close my eyes and I'd be like,
I've been like that.
My brain was going all over. And when you learn to concentrate and train your mind to focus on one thing.
Yeah.
Just for 30 seconds, focus on one thing. Focus on one thing for 10 seconds. Then the next day, 30 seconds. The next day, a minute. And you start developing this power of concentration. Then when you start meditating, you can focus on your breath. Wow, how does it sound? How does it feel? On my exhale, what's going on? On my inhale, what's going on? Is there a gap between my exhale and my inhale? I never even realized that there is. Wow, I can't believe how long that gap gets when I'm more relaxed. Oh my gosh, this is great. So it's really learning how to concentrate and how to focus. So this is part of our public speaking coaching that we.
Yes, that's brilliant. You really cover all the bases, because it sounds like because you start from, it's not anything that's like external or superficial, like do this, do that, do this. It's like very much from the inside. And then I would think once someone masters that, the core of that, any kind of external things take care naturally, organically.
That's exactly what it is. You're spot on 110%. You master the inside, the outside takes care of itself.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to ask you a few fun questions.
Okay, fun. I don't like to have fun, Jenna, so no. Okay, sure, fun question. Let's do it.
So I don't think this is so out there because I did read you were a professional athlete, but if you were an athlete, what would be your sport?
I don't think I'd play football again because I am feeling the aches and pains of that.
Oh, so it's a good question then.
Yeah.
So you played football.
Yeah. So I played college football and then.
Oh man.
Yeah. So and then I had an opportunity I had 3 NFL tryouts. And,
oh my gosh. What an experience.
Kind of cool. And then I got released from all 3 teams.
Okay.
And then, and then I had an opportunity to play football over in Canada or in Italy. And I remember going to, talking to my agent at the time. And I said, Canada. I said, how cold does it get in Canada? During the season, he says, well, it'll get, I don't know, 7, 9, 5. And I go, 7, 9, 5 what? He goes, degrees. And I go, are you crazy? I go, I'm going to go eat some pasta. So get me on a team over in Italy.
Yeah.
And I played over in Italy for the Torino Jaguars of Torino, Italy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Actually, it's crazy.
How cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. As crazy as it may seem, I was apprehensive about public speaking when I was playing football. And it was it kind of really welled up in me. And the team wanted to make me team captain. And I was like, thank you. I don't want to be team captain. And they would say, no, you're team captain. And I'm like, no, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I don't want to be team captain. You know why I didn't want to be team captain?
Because of the speaking, right?
Exactly.
Public speaking and interviews.
Right, because I would have to speak in pregame. The coach gives a speak, and then I'm going to have to speak and get the team all riled up to go out.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy because you're right.
Right, and I said to myself, oh my gosh, they're going to see you for who you really are, that you're not a confident guy. I was a really good athlete. I was kind of, aggressive on the football field. I mean, it's kind of a violent game. Okay. And my body's paying for it now. But so I was like, no. So what did I do that night when I got home from practice? Picked up the phone, called my agent, and we were good friends. I said, dude, you got to get me off this team. He goes, get you off the team. I hear you're doing great over there. You did this, you did that, you did this. I said, yeah, they want to make me team captain. And he goes, that's great, dude. We'll get a bonus for that. That's great. I go, no. I don't want to be team captain. Dude, I can't speak. I'm going to be, blah, blah, blah. It's just not me. And my agent goes, it's time to grow up. Be team captain. Speak to the friggin' team. He didn't say friggin', but anyway, he said, speak to the effing team. And that's it. And he hung up on me. And I went, son of a bitch. So then what did I do? I was 26 years old. So the next day I call my mother. Regular guy, I call my mom. I go, and she goes, hey, baby, how you doing? And I'm like, hey, Mom, what's going on? And I'm talking to her. And she says, what's going on? I said, yeah, they want to make me team captain. You know how I am. I don't like that stuff. And my mother was the one that said, yeah, but you know what? You should try it. You should try it. And I said, yeah. So my mother said, why don't you call your Uncle John? Now, my Uncle John was an actor. And his name, if you look him up, he's on IMDb. His stage name was Johnny Seven. And really cool name. I always loved that name. And he did a lot of the old television shows in the, I'd say late 50s, early 60s. And he was a very, very busy actor. So much so that he was a guest on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson twice. So that's kind of big time stuff. So, and he was on a couple of television series and whatnot. So I called him up, and because my mom said, your uncle had used to be nervous before he presented, and my uncle was a member of the Actors Studio and whatnot. And I called him up and I said, hey, Uncle, what's going on? And he goes, hey, what's going on? How's Italy? I said, good. But, what's happening? And I said, here's the deal. They want to make me captain, blah, blah, blah. And it's just not me. And my uncle was so super cool. And he said, you're going to do this. And I said, yeah, but I'm not that good. He goes, let me tell you something. When I first started acting, I was nervous as all hell. Here's what you're going to do. And he taught me this breath work. And I started doing it. And he was so brilliant where he said, so we started mastering the breath work. And then he said, where are you most comfortable? Are you most comfortable, before you walk into the facility? Are you comfortable in the locker room? Are you comfortable on the field? Where are you most comfortable when you're with your team? And I said, well, probably on the field because, I got the gear on. I'm ready to go. And he goes, okay, I want you tomorrow after practice, when when you're tired, when you're beat up or whatever, he says, I want you to call the team in a circle. And all you're going to say is, I just want to say one thing. And you're just going to say one thing. You're going to say one sentence. And I said, why am I going to do that? He goes, because I'm going to tell you what to say. And I want you to say it, but I want you to watch how your team reacts. And I said, okay. And he says, you're not, and this is what people don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
You all have a superpower in us. And it's identifying that superpower. And when we stand tall and deliver, people respond because we are pack animals. So if someone stands tall and delivers, people are going to follow. Okay. So he says, okay, so after you're tired, you call the team around. And, we would say, on the football field, huddle up. And everybody would come around. And he says, I want you to say, I want to say one thing today. Today, we kicked ass on this field. 1, 2, 3, Jaguars. And they all went nuts. And I went, and as they're doing that, I'm going like this. Holy shit, they really are digging this shit. And then he said, you're going to, every time you speak to your team, you're going to do your breath work before you speak. And then the next day, you're going to say 2 sentences. Then 3 sentences, 4 sentences.
Oh, I see. Got it.
Keep growing it and growing it and growing it and growing it and growing it. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I made this switch and I was like, this is so cool, man.
Right.
So cool. Then I remember going, and then I did a couple of television commercials there, interviewing an American athlete playing football in Italy. And that was fine. And then I came home and I said, to my mother and father, I said, I think I want to become an actor. And my mom and dad were like, you have to speak in front of people, right? And I go, yeah, I get it. And that was that whole journey. So it was.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So the thing is, when I'm working with people, I understand that fear. I know that fear all too well. That fear dwells in me today. But the thing that I know is I know how to say, okay, I put you over here. And you're going to be here and you're going to help me. And that's cool. And that's it.
Right. And I think that makes, wow. So that's brilliant. And like how far you've come is literally amazing. But I think having experienced that side of it, I mean, growing up and until then,
the fear is real.
It gives you, like it gives you such an understanding versus someone teaching or coaching this stuff that's born that way. It's completely different, It's like in school. I think of teachers I had that were like so smart. They were like the math teacher and they went into math because they're good at math. But the thing is, they don't understand someone who doesn't understand math naturally. So they can't teach they teach a very small percentage well,
Right.
And
so
then,
they don't have the empathy. And that's why it's almost like, I could talk to, whenever I speak to people, I could just sense how nervous they are. Because once they start talking to me, they start to try to correct their speech. And I could just see it, and I get it.
Yeah,
get it. I know that fear oh so well, and that fear is ever present in everyone. And it's like, how do you deal with it? And we can.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, and that's the other thing too, right? Because you can, if you saying some of this stuff, it's like, wow, you couldn't do that. Like you felt, you know what I mean? But you did. So you're a testament to that. You can figure that out, right? Like you're there. So it just makes perfect sense,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. You're brilliant. I love talking to you.
I don't know about that, but I can't think. I just, Jenna, this was such a wonderful experience for me. And I really mean this. Anyone out there that if you're looking to do a podcast, look no further than Jenna. And I want to say your name correctly. It's Malatsky.
It's a hard one.
It's Malatsky.
Malatsky.
So Jenna Malatsky.
Yeah, it's a hard name.
is the podcast that you need to dial into and watch. She's got really great guests. And if anyone wants to get a hold of me, you can go to my website, which is behindthetalk.net. Mm-hmm. And my email address is joe.behindthetalk at gmail.com. And the cool thing about it is, being that my company is behindthetalk.net,
Right.
Jenna's company is Behind the Now, right?
I know, it's so crazy.
So Behind the Now with Jenna Molotsky. So that's the place to be.